Hi, Anaquest here. This is my recap for the anime as a reincarnated aristocrat. If you dig my recaps, don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell. We see an average Japanese salaryman who works all day and has no social life to speak of. He is stuck in this monotonous and soul-sucking routine until one day he straight up has a heart attack because his life is so damn empty. Next thing he knows, he opens his eyes and finds himself in some old-ass hospital, with a lady standing over him. She says he has a gentle face like his pups, but he can't make sense of what the hell is going on. Then a maid comes in and offers the lady some tea, and that's when he finally catches a glimpse of himself in the tray the maid is holding. He's been reincarnated as a baby named Ars Luvent, and by the time 3 years have passed, he has already begun to make the best of his new life here. Dude done mastered reading and writing and got some mad knowledge about this whole new world. Turns out he was born in the Summer Fourth Empire, ruling over the Summer Fourth continent. Since he ain't never seen a map like this before, he knows for sure he ain't on Earth no more. Lucky for him, he was born into a noble family called the Luvent, so he lived largely in a mega crib with his chef taking care of him. When Ars got reincarnated, he found out he had this crazy ability that nobody else ever had. Homie goes to the guards' training room and asks if he can peep at their practice. They are all cool with Ars, so they ain't see no reason to turn him down, even though it's kinda weird that a 3-year-old is so hyped about watching them fight. While he's strolling around, he notices one guard struggling with a spear. That's his chance to use his special ability called Appraisal. With that, he can see all the stats of this guard named Milas. Turns out his cavalry stat being D ain't all that impressive, but his archery stat being B is legit. So Ars figured Milas would be way better rockin' the archer role. After Milas loses his match, Ars walks up to him and asks if he ever thought about using a bow in his fights instead. Milas thinks bows are for cowards who enjoy being safe while they attack, so he'll never be caught using a weapon like that. But Ars insists that he thinks Milas would be a really good archer if he tried it out. Milas ain't one to normally agree to stuff like this, but since it's Ars asking, he gives in and decides to give it a try, at least once. Dude never even held a bow before, so he ain't feeling too confident about hitting the target. But Ars reassure him, saying he gonna be straight, so he stands in place and draws his bow to fire. The first shot is a bullseye, and Milas can hardly believe what he just managed to pull off. Just to make sure it ain't some fluke, he fires more shots, and each lands in the center, with one even splitting another arrow. After seeing what Milas can do with a bow, all the other guards tell him he should switch to an archer like Ars had said because he sucks at using a spear anyway. They are still curious about how Ars knew Milas would be a beast with the bow though. Ars can't really explain his ability, so he just calls it instinct instead of spilling the beans about seeing folks' stats. He is confident in his ability's accuracy after testing it out, but for some reason, he can't use it on himself. Later at dinner, Ars is getting ready to chow down when his father asks if he really discovered Milas's archery talent. His father is Raven Luvent, and he has a resting grumpy face, so he always looks a little angry even when he isn't. Ars thinks his old man is a legend because he went from a farmer to nobility with just his fighting skills. The dude is so damn powerful, he could take down 10 dudes solo if he wanted. Father tells Ars to work on honing that instinct for spotting other people's talent, because one day Ars gonna be the lord of the land. And when that day comes, being able to see folks' talent's gonna be hella valuable. He offers his plate of food to Ars, showing some love, saying he wants Ars to grow up quickly. Since that day, Ars has been reading up on the Empire and realized he gonna be straight up screwed if he doesn't change things soon. The rulers of Summer Fourth were straight up corrupt, and because of that, the peasants all over the kingdom revolted. If this keeps going, the whole empire might crumble, leading to some serious wars. As the future lord of this joint, he gonna need to lead his crew into battle, but he ain't got the confidence to say he gonna succeed in a war. So he decides he gotta get prepared for that disaster by gathering up some talented folks to have his back when that day comes. He hit the streets of the city and started using appraisal to scan the people, looking for anyone with some kind of talent. But even after searching for a hot minute and straining his eyes in the process, he still ain't found anybody useful yet. Just then, he saw a kid getting kicked out of a store and denied service by some old lady. Everybody sees what's going down, but they are all racist as hell, so they ain't trying to help out a Malkin. Malkin are the folks who came to Summerforth from across the sea, usually brought in as slaves, so people look down on them. Ars isn't going to just watch him be ostracized by the people, so he walks up to him and offers a loaf of bread that he has on hand. The kid is unsure at first, but he takes the bread, and then Ars use appraisal on him. Turns out this kid named Rate has some serious stats going on. Dude is on par with some of the dopest folks in the world, so if he gets the chance to grow, he will become a force to be reckoned with. Reitz finishes up the bread, and thanks Ars again for the kindness and bounces. But Ars ain't letting such a talented dude slip away, so he trails him till they end up in a dark alley. Reitz stops him, saying it's dumb to be following strangers in sketchy places, but Ars cuts him off and asks to make Rate his retainer. Reitz thinks he is playing, but Ars is dead serious, so he introduces himself as the Lord's son and asks once again for Reitz to join him because Ars can see he got mad talent. Reitz doesn't believe he is as talented as Ars claim, plus he knows it gonna mess with his family's rep if they take in a Malkin like him. Ars say he gonna figure something out, but Reitz still declines the offer and starts walking away. As he is leaving, Ars start chasing after him because he might never find another gifted person like Reitz again. So he switches tactics and tries to bribe him with all the bomb-ass food his family's chef can whip up. Ars bring him back to his house, and Reitz is shocked to see Ars wasn't messing about being the Lord's son. They head inside, and some mouth-watering food gets served to Ars. But even the servants here are straight up racist, so they only give Reitz a bowl of beans and tell him he can't expect decent grub because he is a Malkin. They want him to eat them crusty-ass beans and bounce. But Ars ain't having none of that blatant disrespect toward his guest. He makes it crystal clear that Reitz gonna get treated like any other guest up in this joint. So they all apologize and hook him up with some legit food this time.
Yeah, boy!
While Reitz is grubbing on his meal, Ars asks him why he ended up on Summerforth in the first place. So he explains that he was part of a group of mercenaries before. But unfortunately, they were all killed on one of their missions. Reitz had been wandering around aimlessly since then until he stumbled upon this place. That's a heart-touching story, but the butler doesn't care in the slightest and urges Ars to make the filthy Malkin boy leave. Ars tells him that he won't be making Reitz leave anytime soon since he brought him here to have him become his official retainer. The butler thinks that's a crazy idea because his father ain't never gonna give the green light for that. And he is right because when Ars spill the beans to his pops about his plans, his old man straight up shuts it down, saying folks like Reitz just ain't on par with the people of Summerforth, so he is worthless. Even his father is racist, so Ars gotta work some magic to make him accept Reitz as a retainer. He tells his father he got a feel for Reitz's mad talent, just like he did with Millet. But even though Raven trusts his son's ability to spot talent, the people of Summerforth are all convinced that Malkin ain't capable of anything good. So they think Reitz can't possibly have that kinda insane talent Ars claim. But Ars ain't backing down, insisting that having Reitz on their side gonna be crucial for the future of their turf. So he suggests his father test Reitz to see if the talent checks out. Raven agrees to test him, and if he passes, he can start as a soldier. But the test he suggests is a straight-up duel, and Reitz gotta win to get the seal of approval. Ars is getting worried because even though Reitz got skills, his father still got a higher prowess score, so winning a fair fight gonna be tough. But lucky for them, Raven is still a decent man, so he ain't gonna go all out against a 14-year-old. He gonna give Reitz a handicap to even the playing field a bit. With them conditions, Ars think Reitz got a solid shot at coming out on top, and Reitz is cool with that, so Raven says they gonna get this duel going right away. While they are walking off so Reitz can fight Ars's father, Reitz pauses for a sec and asks why Ars is going through all this trouble to make him a retainer. The offer makes him happy, but it seems too good to be true, considering he is always getting persecuted because he is a Malkin. Ars assures him that he is putting in all this effort because Reitz means something to him. One day, Ars gonna be the lord of the land, and when that day comes, he wants Reitz right by his side. So Reitz promises to give it his all and win. They roll up to the practice grounds, and everybody is confused as hell about what's going down. Raven asks for practice swords and an hourglass to be brought over. Once they got the gear ready, He explained that all Reitz gotta do was land one hit on him within the time limit to be declared the winner. Ars think this might work in their favor because even though Raven is the elite swordsman around, Reitz's skills should be enough to at least score one hit on him. The duel kicks off, and Raven straight up charges at Reitz with all his might. Reitz is nimble though, and manages to dodge, but he can feel that if that hit connected, it would have wrecked him, practice sword or not. Raven is stronger than him, but Reitz is still holding his own in the fight. The other soldiers are hella impressed because they couldn't keep up with Raven at all, and that was when he took it easy on them. But now, Raven is going after Reitz without holding back. Then Reitz gets smacked in the shoulder, sending him bouncing off the floor. He gets back up and looks over at Ars, who is cheering him on. That pumps him back up, and he is ready to keep the fight going. He comes at Raven with a new strategy, ducking under his strike and sneaking behind him. He uses the sun's glare as cover to mess with Raven's vision and land a hit. Raven still blocks it, but once Reitz steps back to create some space, he declares that the duel is over. Reitz looks back to make sure he hasn't run out of time, making sure there's still sand in the hourglass. That means he landed a hit on Raven, even if it was just a light tap. Everybody is straight up stunned by what Reitz pulled off, and Raven gives him props for the win. He admits Ars was right about Reitz's insane talent, and now that he saw it with his own eyes, he knows Reitz got the potential to be a top-tier swordsman in the future. Ars also has a bright future ahead of him if he is able to find such talent so easily. Raven was worried about how Ars gonna handle the craziness of the world when shit hit the fan, but now it looks like he ain't gotta worry about nothing. Ars may have managed to become the new emperor of the land. That's a little ambitious for the lord of such a small village. Reitz gained mad respect from the soldiers now that they saw what he was capable of. And a little while later, Ars swung by to check if Reitz was getting comfy in his new life here. Reitz is rocking his fresh uniform. He decided to take on servant duties too because he wanted to help out as much as he could. He also shows major gratitude to Ars for saving him from a life on the streets. To pay back that debt, he gonna stand by Ars's side from now on. A few months go by, and we find out Reitz has been chilling mostly with Ars, instead of getting in on the battlefield action. But he's been hella helpful and showing off some sick fighting skills. Reitz has been getting his knowledge game on with a ton of tutoring, and it's boosted his ingenuity stat like crazy. Now he's one of the smartest folks in the whole crew. Once the peeps in the household and the domain got to know Reitz, they straight up accepted him. The maids can't help but gossip about him, talking about how hot he is. One day, Reitz drops some history knowledge on Ars. He breaks it down that the Summer Fourth Empire was originally made up of 7 kingdoms. One of those kingdoms, Ansel, had mad power, so it straight up invaded and conquered the other 6 kingdoms. King Anathus of Ansel declared himself the emperor, and he renamed the whole damn continent the Summer Fourth Empire. But right now, the entire empire is in deep trouble. The ruler in charge is an 8-year-old kid named Bidoras, but the real power is held by his advisors, and they be beefing with each other. With weak leadership, revolts are starting to break out. They're small scale for now, but even Raven had to send troops to calm things down. This situation could blow up big time, so Ars realizes he gotta use his appraisal ability to recruit some talented peeps to his side before it goes down. Ars's family resides in this spot called Mission Territory, so he's shocked when Ars predicts that the major conflict's gonna pop off there. The governor there is old as dirt and in bad health, so it's likely he won't be around for much longer. He's got 2 sons, and they both want to inherit his position, which could straight up lead to war. Ars's dad believes the older son should take over as governor, but he doesn't have a say in which side he ends up fighting for, because he ain't directly serving the governor. Lamberg is in this district called Canar, and Raven serves as its headman. Ars is feeling pretty damn nervous because he's just a kid, and so far, the only dope prospect he's found is Reitz. Luckily, Reitz sees all this as a golden opportunity. If a lord can show off his skills in a major conflict, it can help him rise up in the world. Ars gets inspired, and they decide to level up and get stronger to increase their chances. Reitz promises to protect Ars and asks for his help in finding the right peeps to make that happen. While they're rolling into town, Ars peeps that his pops has been training more often. It's pretty clear he senses a war coming. Ars lets his pops know that he's gonna go scout for more recruits, so Raven asks him to find someone with mad magic skills. Turns out, Raven can't handle magic like a pro, and the folks who can ain't all that great either. He once asked Ars to try his hand at magic, so Ars gave it a shot using some magical device. But he was straight up trash at it. His pops never asked him again after that. But having a mage on their team would seriously amp up their forces, so Ars is hella determined to find the best magic candidate out there. They hit up the capital of the Kenar district, where Ars is shocked when he finds out there's 50,000 peeps living there. Everyone's looking hella wealthy, and Ars dreams of giving his Lamberg people that kind of good life one day. Reitz is sure they'll find a dope candidate, so many people there. But Ars uses his ability for a while and can't find anyone with real potential. See, Ars's ability shows him a person's stats in numbers and aptitude ranks, but the true talent comes from a combo of both. Just having high stats without the right aptitude ain't gonna cut it. Ars starts feeling down because he can't find the right person. But Reitz reminds him there's no need to rush. As they keep exploring, Ars comes across an alley where people be living. He's straight up shocked, so Reitz schools him. Where there's wealth, there's always poverty. It's like prosperity breeds inequality or some shit. Reitz realizes Ars saved him from this kind of life, but sadly, they can't do nothing for these folks right now. Ars has a realization. See, before, he was just looking at all the fancy shit and thinking it was a good town. But in his eyes, a good town is where even the less fortunate can make something of themselves. He knows he might be naive, but he wishes he could find their next candidate from among these less fortunate peeps. Reitz doesn't think he's naive one bit, and Ars is straight up shocked when he says he's proud to be his aide. After that, they head to the biggest market in town, where someone offers Ars a dragon egg. Ars straight up can't believe dragons exist in this world, and the merchant peeps how hyped he is. So the merchant offers to hook him up with some rare eggs for just 1 silver each. Ars is all ready to drop that cash. But Reitz is mad as hell at the merchant. Ars is shocked. But Reitz knows this dude smuggled those eggs illegally because trade's been frozen with the northern continent. Plus, the size and spots on the eggs don't even look legit. And what's even more suspicious is that this merchant has a whole stash of rare dragon eggs. Reitz figures out they're actually giant lizard eggs, so he decides this merchant's punishment for embarrassing Ars should be death. Ars pleads with Reitz to stop, so Reitz apologizes for going overboard. Ars starts worrying that Reit's gonna go off like this every time he gets played, so he decides to smarten up real quick before someone ends up 6 feet under. They take a break to chow down, but when Ars tries to buy some candy, someone bumps into him. He's surprised when Reitz points out that his money got snatched, so they go after the thief. This thief's pretty damn speedy, making it hard to catch up, but Reitz rips off their coat and reveals it's a girl. They follow her into an alley, where she's getting jumped by some dudes. Ars tells them to back off, so they try to attack him, but Reitz shuts them down and teaches them a little lesson. They bounce, and Ars thinks his homie is hella cool. Ars checks on the girl to see if she's alright, and he's shocked to find out she's an S-tier mage with insane potential. Not only that, her leadership can reach 92, and her prowess can go as high as 116. She's a super young girl, but her skills rival even Ars's dad. Every stat that ain't magic related is weak. But that's all good because she must already have some insane magic power. Reitz tells her to give Ars his money back, but Ars interrupts and asks her to be his retainer. Reitz points out she's a thief, but Ars reveals that she's got incredible magic talent like he's never seen before. But the girl cuts in and straight up says she'd rather end her own life than serve a kid like Ars. Ars tries to tell her she's got insane magic potential, but she don't believe him because she's never even used magic before. This clever kid peeps the situation from a whole different angle and figures out that she's a straight-up thief because she's been through some rough times. So he breaks it down for her, saying that if she rolls with him as his retainer, she'll get a fat paycheck and regular meals. But damn, the girl ain't having it. She straight up calls Ars a spoiled brat and hates on nobles. She wonders what gives them the right to look down on others. She thinks they're just born lucky and don't do jack to earn their privilege. She makes it crystal clear that she ain't trying to be a tool to protect Ars's fancy lifestyle. Ars explains that he ain't no fancy noble like the ones she's talking about. He wants to build a town where people like her can live good lives, and he needs her help for that. The girl points out that these people are suffering right now, and his idea of helping them later sounds mad naive to her. She assumes Ars just wants her help to flex on others how kind he is and make himself feel good. Reitz jumps in to keep it simple and tells her to give the money back. So she does because she don't want to owe them for saving her. Ars notices a mark on her wrist, and she spills that she got caught sneaking into some noble's house and ended up getting sold off to a slave trader. She managed to escape, so those dudes Reitz beat down were the trader's lackeys. Ars thinks she should bounce from town because they're looking for her, but she says she can't. Just then, a bunch of kids come up and give her a big hug, and she points out that these lil homies ain't got parents and no one to love them. She can't just abandon them like that. Ars gets it now, so he agrees to lay off trying to recruit her, but he hooks her up with his money pouch. She reminds him that he's giving it to her willingly, so he can't ask for it back. Ars says it's all hers now, so she calls him a weirdo and dips out with the orphan kids. That night, Ars can't get the girl's tough life out of his mind. Reitz knows the struggle too, and tells him straight up that the world ain't kind to those at the bottom. She probably got treated like trash by nobles in the past, and that's why she hates them. Reitz points out that Ars ain't like that, but Ars realizes he's been taking his privileged lifestyle for granted, so he understands why she sees him that way. Ars really wants to build a better town, and she might have been right with what she said. Just then, Ars spots the orphan kids from earlier, and they spill that the girl named Charlotte got captured. A brief look into Charlotte's past, and you'll see how damn tough her life was. She was just a kid, but she couldn't even remember the last time she shed tears. As she looks at a happy little girl, she starts wondering if the last time she cried was when she realized she ain't got no damn parents. Life only got worse as she grew up. She was broke and homeless, so folks treated her like shit. She wonders if she last cried when she realized she's less than a human. She gives up trying to remember and just wonders why the hell she was born in the first place. Now back in the present, Charlotte's getting her ass kicked by those goons non-stop. They're pissed because she's making their job harder, and they're disappointed because they still can't make her cry, so they keep on kicking. The slave trader reminds them not to mess up her face because he already found a buyer for her, and he don't want to piss off the evil dude. The goons find out she's got a bunch of cash, so Charlotte tries to snatch it back, but she pays the price for it. Charlotte was trying to get that money for the orphans, but the trader tells her there's no damn hope for her. Even if she escaped, she'd just go back to a life of misery. He suggests she accept that her life is done, and tells her to blame her parents for abandoning her. Just then, all the goons get spooked because Reitz barges in. He straight up wrecks a bunch of those goons, and Charlotte wonders why the hell they're here. The trader tells him they got some nerve breaking in, but he's shocked when Ars somehow knows his name. This dude can tell Ars is a noble by the way he's dressed, but he ain't letting Charlotte go free. He explains she's just merchandise, and nobles like Ars and his family are the ones secretly buying them. He hopes as a noble Ars would understand, but that just pisses Ars off even more. Charlotte tells Ars to stay the hell out of this since he barely knows her, but Ars has been thinking about something since they met. He's been trying to figure out why her eyes look so damn empty, and he finally realized her ambition level is just at 1. Ambition means someone's personal hopes and dreams, representing their desire to improve, their tenacity, and their hope for the future. Charlotte's just at a damn 1, meaning she's given up on her future. The trader straight up laughs his ass off, making it clear that Charlotte's just a damn slave, so she ain't got no future idiot. This shit pisses off Ars big time. And he points out that adults are supposed to protect the future of kids. But this dude not only took away Charlotte's future, but now he's laughing about it. Ars reaches his damn limit and says it should be up to Charlotte to decide what she wants to be, not these damn goons. Charlotte remembers why she stopped crying. Shedding tears don't help no one survive. She gave up on having dreams a long-ass time ago because she believed destinies are decided when people are born. Shutting off her heart was the only way she could protect herself from all the shitty treatment. She learned tears are for the weak, and in her world, weakness equals death. She decided to focus on being strong to survive, so it's hella confusing why the hell she's crying now of all times. The trader's done being nice to Ars, so Charlotte tells him to bounce, but Ars tells her not to worry and tells Reitz to handle their asses. The goons say they're in real trouble now, but Reitz slams one of them down, and says they'll pay the ultimate price for pissing off his lord Ars, which is death. The goons think they can overpower him because they got the numbers, but Reitz straight up wrecks a whole bunch of them. These idiots even try to use magic against him, but that doesn't even slow Reitz down. Reitz stands tall over all the defeated goons, and the trader calls him a damn monster. The trader says he got no other choice, so he calls his biggest goon. This giant used to be an infantry commander, but he got kicked out for bad behavior. Charlotte's worried about this dude, but Ars uses his powers on him and tells her not to sweat it. The guy looks down on them, but Reitz points out he can only do that if he makes it out of their fight alive. This gets the guy to attack Reitz right away, but Reitz's skills are on a whole other level. He knocks this dude out in no time, and Charlotte's straight up stunned, wondering who the hell these guys are. The traitor just spilled that the big shot headman in the Kanar district is all for this slave trade crap. But Ars already knew that, so he straight up declares that he's gonna buy Charlotte. The traitor tries to resist, but Reitz calls him out, saying they could easily snatch her right out of his hands. And that would be way worse for the traitor's reputation if he lost a slave who already had a damn buyer. It'd sound way smoother if he just sold her to someone willing to pay more. After some grumbling, the guy begrudgingly agrees to let them buy her. So Ars offers to take her back to her crew. But Charlotte wants to hit up a specific spot first. The problem is it's deep in the forest, and Ars ain't exactly a fan of hiking, but they make it there, and damn Ars is blown away by the breathtaking view. This place is Charlotte's secret spot, where all the town's problems seem small. It's clear this place means the world to her, so Ars wonders why she's showing it to him. After giving his words some thought, Charlotte wonders why Ars wants to build a town where even people like her can have stable lives. Ars keeps it simple. He's all about loving kids. Charlotte points out that he's a kid too, but Ars breaks it down further. He knows that when you're feeling down, a kid's smile can lift you right up. And he believes it's because a child's smile is filled with hope. Having hope means being excited for the future, and that excitement holds some serious power. Ars believes that smiles are contagious, and that enthusiasm is what makes a city a better place. That's part of the reason why he wants to create a space where kids can always have hope. He wants to build a town where people can live with hope and stability. Ars apologizes if he sounds like he's lecturing her, but surprisingly Charlotte agrees to be his right hand. Ars reminds her about the orphans, but she explains that they're the reason she's down for it. She wants those kids to have the kind of future Ars is talking about. Just then, Reitz comes through and reveals he found some magic item in the warehouse. He trusts Ars's eye for spotting talent, but he wants to see for himself if Charlotte can use magic. She's willing to try, but she reminds them that she's never really used magic before, and she doesn't even know how to cast spells or any of that shit. While Reitz breaks it down for her, Ars starts thinking about how he's never come across anyone else with an S-rank magic gift. He wonders just how damn powerful Charlotte is, and she's ready to show him. She recites a quick incantation and unleashes a crazy powerful fire spell. And damn, the dudes are straight up shocked, but that ain't even the half of it. As that spell lights up the sky, people everywhere are losing their minds over the epic fire show, and the magic item straight up shatters. The guys are still in complete awe, and Charlotte finally starts showing some confidence. Ars couldn't be happier, and Reitz finally gives her props for her talent. Charlotte's stoked to hear she's gonna get a monthly paycheck, a place to crash, and regular food, but she wants all that cash sent to help out the orphans instead. All she needs is just a roof over her head and some food, so Ars agrees to make it happen. Ars always knows how to say the right shit, as he declares he can't wait to see what her future holds. And Charlotte says she'll do whatever to make Ars's dream come true, and she calls him Lord Ars. But Ars is quick to shut that formal shit down, saying she doesn't have to be all formal. So she's relieved because she sucks at it anyway, and she's older than him, so it'd be weird. Charlotte apologizes for taking their money and thanks him for saving her. Ars says it ain't nothing, he just wants to go home and eat. She tells Reitz that she's really looking forward to seeing Ars's future, and Reitz agrees, while Charlotte tells the orphans she's gonna get them some milk. Ars is thinking about how damn happy he is to have two loyal allies. The House of Luvent is definitely getting stronger, but Ars can't front on feeling the pressure. He's surrounded by badass people, and he wonders if he's capable of leading them since he's just an ordinary dude. He's scared of screwing it all up and letting them down. But then he remembers the promise he made to them and pulls himself together. He's gonna do whatever it takes to build an epic town. Finally, they all sit down to eat, but it becomes hella clear that Charlotte needs to learn some basic manners and speech. Charlotte thinks it's impossible, but Reitz breaks it down for her. She needs to get her act together because she'll be rolling with Ars at meals. Charlotte tells Ars she would rather take a nap, but Reitz gotta remind her that to them he's Lord Ars. After that, Raven refuses to accept Charlotte, since he thinks the battlefield is too risky for females. But Ars ain't having it. He tells Charlotte to show off her power, and Raven quickly changes his tune. And he's all in and gladly welcomes her into their crew. 3 years later, we spot Raven's army rolling back from the battlefield. Turns out they have beef with the province of Sates, and that's why Raven gotta serve in the military. Ars asks him about the battle, and he spills that they straight up crushed the enemy, giving props to Charlotte's magic for leading them to victory. Word is she's now known as the baddest mage on the whole damn battlefield, running the magic unit like a boss. We see that Ars got some newborn siblings, and both of them got mad skills. He thinking they gonna hold it down and support the fam in the future. Reitz fills him in about the Keisha brothers, saying they come from a hunter family that just moved to Lamberg and they look like they got talent. So Ars decides to track them down, and Charlotte offering to roll with him. They search through the woods and they spot a creature dipping, but suddenly an arrow takes it out in one shot, and these two hunters show up. Ars, using his ability, figures out these cats are the Keisha brothers, Gatos and Marcus, and he sees their talent, thinking they're gonna make solid soldiers. They invite him to their house, where their dad Greg is cooking up a feast. Charlotte tastes the food and be like, damn, it's delicious. Gatos explaining it's the creature they just hunted called a Tesur. Greg asks Ars why he is in the woods, so he explains he wanna recruit Gatos and Marcus for the army because he knows they got skills. Greg is over the moon about this news. He let Ars know he got another son named Rosal, but he ain't as capable as his brothers. They peep Rosal sneaking bread from the table, so Greg scolding him, telling him to greet their guests. Ars use his skills on Rosal and realize this dude is a straight up genius, his intellect off the charts. So Ars tells Greg he wanna make Rosal his vassal, but Greg thinking it's a bad idea, saying he gonna be nothing but trouble. But Ars asking him if he wanna join them, and Greg gets scared, thinking he gotta hit the battlefield, so he straight up refuses, saying he ain't trying to die. He bounces back to his room, and Greg breaks it down to Ars that ever since his mom passed, Rosal been keeping himself locked up in there, not learning any life skills. But Ars ain't sweating it and says Rosal is a genius, thinking he gonna be a wicked tactician one day. Ars steps into Rosal's room and peep this dude reading a book, but he explains it's the only one they got in the house, and his mom used to read it to him. He says the book is bringing him peace, so Ars invites him to his library, saying he can read as much as he wants. At first Rosal straight up refuses because he doesn't trust Ars, but he wants to read more books, so he agrees, but he says he gonna bring his brothers along. They head to the mansion, and Ars introduces Charlotte to Gatos and Marcus. She shows them around the barracks, while Rosal heads to the library. Ars tells him to read whatever books catch his interest, and orders Reitz to look after him, saying he gotta study too. Then he bounces from the library. But he ends up knocking out and wakes up later, realizing he left Rosal in the library for hours, thinking the dude probably bounced already. So he heads back to the library, and Reitz tells him Rosal fell asleep after reading a ton of books. Ars used his skill, peeping that Rosal's intellect getting sharper by the minute. He notices Rosal learning at lightning speed. His brothers join them, thinking Rosal just wasted time in the library because he has never been taught how to read. Ars is all surprised to hear this. Rosal wakes up, and Ars asks him how the hell he learning to read books. Rosal explains he picked it up by watching his mom, and everybody finding it hard to believe. The next day, Ars rolls up to the brothers, telling them to set up traps to catch the sower. Rosal explains he read about traps, so Ars tells him to use his knowledge to snag them. His brothers back him up, so Rosal decides to give it a shot. After some time, Greg peeps Rosal's invention and realizes that Joint straight up snagged a bunch of sower. He breaks it down that he is stressed about their pops because once his brothers turn into soldiers, he gonna struggle to hunt for food. So he came up with this trap, revealing that he painted the fence yellow to lure the sow in. Greg notices some herbs hanging above, so Rosal spills that the little Somel and their mamas hate its aroma, so it keeps them away. He wants the sow to keep breeding. His bros think he's a legend, but Greg tells Rosal to bounce from the house with his brothers and tells Ars to take good care of them. So Rosal starts thinking his dad got hate for him, but Ars thinks there gotta be a solid reason why Greg acting this way. That night, Rosal is reflecting about his mom, thinking his dad straight up despises him because his mom's health went downhill after she gave birth to him. He putting the blame on himself for her demise. But out of nowhere, he overhears Greg chatting it up with his bros, and Gatos wondering why he treating Rosal so rough. So Greg explains he wants Rosal to hate him because he thinks he failed as a dad. He couldn't see his son's talent, and he spills that he got love for Rosal. He wanna see him reach his full potential. but Greg thinks he's standing in the way. So he wants Rosal to forget about him and tells Gatos and Marcus to back up their brother. The next day, Ars arrives to scoop the boys up, so they get ready to leave and Greg starts chopping wood. But Rosal steps up to him, saying he ain't holding no hate and he making a promise to give it his all. He lets his pops know he wanna reunite again, and Greg is over the moon hearing this, saying he gonna be waiting for them to come back. 3 years later, we peep Raven ain't doing so well, and Ars thinking he ain't fit to fight, but his dad says he got no choice because things are messed up. We find out the governor kicked the bucket a year back, but he named his younger son Vazmak as the next big shot. However, the older brother Curran is claiming the document was fake, sparking a big-ass argument. The homies are split on who should take charge, and now their hood mission is all messed up, with Sates taking advantage of the chaos. Ars be wondering if he gotta throw down, but his dad says there is something even more important for him to focus on, his engagement. Ars be straight up shocked hearing this, like damn, why ain't nobody tell him? His dad hands him a letter and he rushes to spread the word to the crew, wondering what the hell he should do about it. But then out of nowhere, his homie comes through and says his fiancée just rolled up. He heads out to meet her, but he ain't got a clue how to act because he never had a girl in his past life. But the girl introduces herself as Lisha Played, and damn, she got him swooning right off the bat. But when he peeps her stats, he is straight up shocked because she got crazy high ambition, and he thinks it doesn't match her cute looks. He worried she fronting on him, and he ain't letting her play him. But as she talks, he finds her too damn adorable. He decides to show her around, and her butler Jean is hella surprised to see a Malkin in the house, but Lisha already knows about Reets, so she straight up tells Jean to say sorry. Lisha gets a warm welcome, and they sit down for a meal. She loves the meat, and Ars tells her about how they trapped them Sua. He thinks she is really cute, and she mentions how she passed through Lamberg on her way there. Ars thinks it's a shame it's raining so he can't show her around, but she tells him not to trip because the sun starts shining. He wondering if she got control over the weather, but she revealed she peeped at the clouds on her way and knew it was just a quick rain, so she told him to take her around the town. Meanwhile, we spot Charlotte and Rosal watching them, but they both getting a bad vibe from her. Ars and Lisha head into the town and we peep two dudes arguing. Ars wondering what the deal is and a woman telling him it's a beef over a magic stone order. The shopkeeper ordered flame magic stones, but the dealer brought sound magic stones instead, and since it was all verbal, ain't nobody knows who's in the wrong. Ars thinks he should step up and fix it, but he worries about messing up in front of Lisha. Charlotte pops up, offering to solve things with force, but Lisha shuts her down. Charlotte thinks she should mind her own damn business, but Lisha saying she a fan, and even Charlotte is feeling her charm. Lisha decides to handle the situation and asks Ars for a favor if she succeeds. We peep the dudes throwing fists, and Lisha steps up to them. They wonder who she be, so she introduces herself as Ars's fiancée, and they are happy as hell hearing that, thinking Ars growing up. She offers to buy the sound magic stone, saying they precious in her turf, and she revealing they got a volcano, so she can sell the flame magic stone at a good price too. But she claims it was all Ars's idea. The dudes are thrilled he cares about helping them, and he tells them to write up a contract next time to avoid this mess in the future. The situation was resolved, and Ars shows gratitude to Lisha for her help. After that, Lisha brings up her favor, and Ars wonders what she is after, but she just asking him to answer her question, wondering what kind of person he is into. Ars can't believe that's all she wants, but he knows he can't outsmart her, so he tells her he digs people who speak their minds and keep it real. At night, Ars thinking how he couldn't figure out Lisha's intentions, but as he gets ready to crash, he finds her in his bed. He wondering if she messing with him, but she mentioning she wanna have a straight up convo with him. They share some tea, and he wonders what she wanna talk about. She reveals she got the talent to read people's emotions just by looking at them, and she mentions how he was suspicious of her when they first met, so she was curious about why. He decides to spill the truth, revealing his ability to see a person's stats and how she has insanely high ambition, making him think all her moves are calculated. He thinks she ain't gonna believe him, but she thinks it explains his actions. She admits she is ambitious as hell, so Ars wondering what she is really after. She straight up spills that her goal as a woman is to make a good man fall head over heels for her, and Ars realizes the best move for her is to marry someone with power. He thinks she's unlucky because their turf is small, but Lisha knows exactly what's going on in his head. She tells him that even though their territory may be small, after spending the day with him, she still wants to be his wife because she sees great potential in him. Ars thinks he's just got good folks around him, but Lisha believes that's exactly why he'll be great. She points out how everyone sees him as family, and she thinks that's the most important quality for a leader. She straight up tells him she's fallen in love with him, but then she decides to call it a night and Ars is left dumbfounded. He starts freaking out because he didn't respond, but we see Lisha outside feeling embarrassed too. But she realizes it's the first time she's opened up to someone like that. We see Lisha walking away, and she notices that he still hasn't responded to her confession. That totally freaks him out, but she tells him she can wait, because she's decided she's gonna marry him. In a flashback, we learn that she straight up hates the world of nobility because everyone's out there lying and backstabbing, just trying to secure their own positions. She hates her own ability because of that mess too. But one day when she saw a girl getting hitched, she realized she could escape all the scheming and plotting if she found a man who was strong enough. So she had no plans to marry into Ars's household because she thought she needed to find someone even stronger. But after spending time with him, she saw how kind and loved he is, and she wanted to be a part of his world. So she's grateful to God for giving her power, and she's down to help Ars build his new world. We see Ars writing to her, letting her know his dad is getting better and the whole succession mess is cooling down. But he wants to see her again so he can finally spill his feelings and let her know he wants to marry her too. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.